What's up, Subi Nation? DJ here with Subi Bros, and today we're going to be doing an overview and install of our replacement LED bezels. So we're going to remove this entire bezel assembly, and we're actually going to be deleting the turn signal because it has a built-in switchback in the DRL running light. So we offer a variety of options. We have the JDM OEM Subaru bezels and lights. We also have aftermarket bezels and lights. And then we also have our custom kit that combines the aftermarket LED bar, which gets you the white daytime running light and the switchback function for the turn signals, but utilizes the actual Subaru OEM JDM bezel, the actual plastic piece. So for this install, we're going to be doing our OEM Plus kit that uses the aftermarket LED, but the OEM bezel. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, we're gonna begin the install. So as you can see, we've unraveled our wiring harness. And on the right side here where we have the red add-a-fuse, that's going to be the driver's side portion of the harness. So we're going to begin by routing the passenger side harness through the frame and the bumper. So we'll get started. So we're taking our connector end here where we have the primary connector, our turn signal connector, and our switch. And we're going to feed it through this portion of the frame. All right, so we're on the passenger side of the vehicle now, and we are going to take our harness and we are going to route it underneath the headlight here and drop it down on the other side of the frame here. Okay, to show you again, we routed the wire. It's coming off of here, the frame, going underneath the headlight, and then it drops down in between the frame here. And this is ultimately where the connector comes out, and here's the turn signals. So the next step is to take our switch that toggles the headlights from sequential to normal mode, and we're going to stick that up here into the engine bay. All right, so it's really up to you where and how you want to mount the switch for the sequential and the standard blinking. So we're actually going to use, on this side, we're going to use this non-used part of the frame, and we're going to use the supplied zip tie. And so now we have a spot for the switch here so that we can move it as needed. We'll go ahead and clip that off. On the driver's side, we're going to make sure to tuck the harness behind the headlight. And then what we're going to do, just to help keep things organized, we're going to put this harness between the crash bar and the frame here. Okay, so what this does is this gives us our connection for the LED bezels in our turn signal down here. So now, just like the other side, we're going to route the switch up into the engine bay, but we also want to route the ground and power supply up to the engine bay as well. All right, so we're going to start with the switch here. And on this side, I'm going to zip tie the switch right here to this cable. Then we're going to fish our ground and add a fuse through the same area. We're now going to install the ground portion of the bezel harness. So we're going to remove this 12mm bolt here. And we're going to slip it on. And we'll go ahead and snug that back down. The next step is to open up your fuse box. So you just push in these two pins here and pull up. We now need to connect the power source. So this is the fuse box. Over here is the driver's side wheel well. You can see the positive terminal on the battery to give you orientation. So we're going to connect to this position right here inside the fuse box. So we're going to go ahead and push our add a fuse in like that. Then we're going to bring the wire over around here, and we're actually going to push the little rubber seal just slightly out of the way, and we are going to tuck it right in there. So we ran the add a fuse wire over here, and we just tucked it in next to the rubber seal here so that we can get the fuse box back on. All right, we're going to take our fuse box cover and put it back on. We're going to route our power cable behind the battery. All right, before we go any further, we're going to take a second just to grab the excess wire here, and we are going to zip tie it together so that it does not get in the way and flop around and create a big mess. We have our custom plug and play harness here for the turn signal on the Diode Dynamics C-Light. So we made this one custom for these bezels. So what you're gonna do is take the two connections here from the bezel harness and the Diode Dynamics, and we're gonna clip them in, and then your factory turn signal connection will clip into this end. We're now going to work on removing the bezel, and we also need to get rid of the turn signal. So we're going to work from the back side of the bumper. All right, we're going to start by popping out the bezel. To do this, we're just going to start pushing on the clips around the edge here. All right, we've removed the bezel. All right, so if you have the factory turn signals, you're gonna have two 10mm bolts. We have these, our aftermarket ones, so we are going to unscrew this. All right, and again, if you have the stock turn signals, you have to push on the bottom and top tab to pop it out. But since we have our Subi Bros turn signals, they just come out like that. All right, we're gonna take the cord for our harness on the bezels and feed it through this center piece. And then we're going to install the bezel. So to do this, we want to make sure that we have all of the tabs on the correct side and roughly line it up with the bumper. Then just go around and push it into place. So we've installed both the bezels and we now have the bumper in position to reconnect the connectors. So we are going to focus in on the area under the headlight here. And the process is the same for both the passenger and driver side. All right, you guys. So the first connection we're going to do is the connector here that is coming off of the bezels that we just installed. So we're going to grab our harness here and connect that. Next, we're going to take our turn signal from the bumper and we're going to connect that to the turn signal wire coming from the bezel harness. And again, this connection goes to our diode dynamic C lights. And then finally, we're going to make the connection here with the primary harness. So once we repeat that on the other side, we're ready to reinstall the bumper, and we'll test everything to make sure it works before completely buttoning up. But if you need help on how to reinstall the front bumper, there is the link in the description below that shows a detailed installation of the front bumper. All right, real quick, I'm going to show you instructions if you have a limited WRX or a STI with the LED headlights. This is going to show you how to integrate the turn signals. So we sell our turn signal plug and play harness that will allow you to get a connection from the factory turn signal so that you can use the switchback function of your bezels if you want. So what we're going to do here is you're going to take out the turn signal bulb. So you'll just get in behind there. And so what you'll do is you'll remove the bulb and you'll want to use some dielectric grease. We're now going to take our plug and play harness, and what you do is you insert the end of the harness into here, and you'll want to tape this off so that it seals it from any water or weather that could get into it. And then we'll take our bulb and plug that into the other side of the plug and play harness. And so what that's going to do is allow you to put the bulb back inside. Okay. And now we have a connection point for the turn signal, which will just run down the bumper. And you'll go to, this is the harness from the LED bezels. You'll go to the turn signal portion here. And what you'll do is you'll just plug this right into the turn signal. And then we also provide you with a block off cap here so that you don't have any water or anything else getting inside of the connection on the other side. Since we don't need to connect any other turn signals, this will just be blocked off. And this will give you the turn signal functionality. This next portion pertains only to the base model and the premium model WRX. Because we replaced the factory incandescent turn signal with the new LED light bar, you're going to experience hyper flash because there's not enough resistance. That's when the turn signal blinks super fast. Usually it's like when you have a bulb burned out. So to fix this, we're going to replace the flasher relay, which is located basically just behind this panel here. You have two choices. You can either replace it with just a standard LED flasher relay, which is just going to fix the hyperblink, or you can also upgrade to the Diode Dynamic Smart Tap, which gives you a whole bunch of different features. I would recommend going to the product page for the Smart Tap flasher if you're interested in learning more about that. So for this demo, we're going to install just the standard flasher relay. So to get started, we need to remove this panel. The first step is going to be removing this side panel here. So there's actually a little tab on the underside. You can see how easy that just popped out using our panel tool here. And then we're just going to pull it off. And that will give us access to this Phillips head screw that we'll remove next. Just unscrew the Phillips head screw here. So now we're going to get ready to remove the panel face here. So what we'll want to do in preparation for that is move the weather stripping out of the way here. So you just kind of pull up on it and just bring it over. Okay guys, the last thing to do to release this panel is there is this clip here. You need to press the tab down from the back side. We're going to use our panel tool to do that. And as soon as we depress it, you pull forward and it releases. And then the rest of the clips will just sort of pop out. All right, now that the panel's off, it's just kind of hanging here. We are going to work on removing or replacing the actual relay, which is located right here. Here is the bottom side of the gauge cluster, the steering column for reference. So we're going to focus in on this. We're going to pull the flasher relay off of the mount that it's on. Sometimes it can be a little stubborn, and so there's a little slot above that you can put a small screwdriver to help release it. And then once you push down, should come loose. All right guys, now we need to release the wiring harness. There's this one clip holding on the harness on the back. So we're going to use a screwdriver here. Then we're just going to plug in our new relay here. All right. Then once it's plugged in, we're going to remount it on that white tab. All right, and the new relay is installed. We're going to reinstall the panel. So to do that, we're going to start by snapping it in to this lower portion of the plastic trim down here. All right, and everywhere's nice and snapped in. So we'll go ahead and put our Phillips screw back in. Then we're going to take our side panel here and reinstall that. And don't forget to put back the weather sealing. All right guys, that concludes the installation of our LED bezels. So remember again, we have multiple options in price points available for these bezels, along with configurations with and without the fog light hole. So head on over to subibros.com to see our complete line list, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content and want to see more, and we'll catch you next time.